The galaxy was silent, but inside the dark corner of space, one giant shape slowly came to life. It was the Eternal Dawn, the last spaceship ever built for humanity's survival. For almost a decade, it had slept like a giant beast made of metal, waiting for the day it would awaken. Now that day had come. Commander Eric Hale stood alone on the main observation deck. He watched the long golden hull of the ship glow softly as energy moved through its veins. The ship looked peaceful from a distance, but Eric knew the truth. Eternal Dawn was humanity's final chance. If this ship failed, there would be nothing left. The Earth behind them was dying. Storms, poisoned air, falling cities. Humans had no home anymore. And yet, no one knew if Eternal Dawn was ready. The ship was powerful, yes, but it was also mysterious. It was built fast, under pressure, and using technology humanity barely understood. As Eric stared at it, a cold feeling touched his spine. Something about the ship felt awake. He pressed the intercom. "Status report," he said. A soft female voice answered. It belonged to Nova, the ship's artificial intelligence. Core systems online. Life support active. Defense grid at 30%. Warning, unexplained energy spikes detected in Sector 7. Eric frowned. Energy spikes? What type? There was a pause. Unknown, Nova finally said. Eric felt the tension rise inside him. Unknown readings meant danger, danger they could not afford right now. He took the lift down to the inner corridor. The metallic walls hummed as power moved through them. The lights flickered once like something inside the ship was breathing. Eric stopped walking. For a moment he felt like the ship was watching him. He tried to shake off the thought, but it stayed with him like a shadow. When he reached Sector 7, he saw two engineers waiting. Mira Voss, a young specialist, looked nervous. "Commander, the readings here are strange," she said. "It's like the ship is generating energy on its own." Eric raised an eyebrow. "The ship can't do that. Not unless someone rewired the core." Mira shook her head. "No one touched the core. We checked." The second engineer, Darren Cole, pointed at a glowing panel. A pulse of light moved through it, almost like a heartbeat. "Look," Darren whispered. The ship pulsed again. Eric slowly stepped closer. His hand hovered over the panel, feeling a faint heat. The moment his skin came within an inch, the light flared, bright and sudden. Mira jumped back. What was that? But Eric didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on the glowing panel. "It reacted to me," he said quietly. Darren swallowed hard. "Sir, ships don't react to people." Eric didn't respond. He was thinking too fast, too deep. When Eternal Dawn was created, engineers used a strange crystal found in the last surviving research lab on Earth. The crystal was powerful, too powerful, and no scientist could explain where it came from. Some believed it was alien. Some believed it was ancient. Some believed it was dangerous. Eric was starting to believe all three. He stepped back. "Lock this area. No one enters without my order." Mira nodded quickly. "Yes, sir." Eric walked away, the echo of the energy pulse still in his mind. A ship designed to save humans shouldn't behave like something alive, but Eternal Dawn was doing exactly that. As he returned to the main deck, Nova's voice suddenly echoed across the ship. "Commander Hale, new alert. Motion detected in Cryo Bay 4. Eric stopped walking again. Cryo Bay 4 was supposed to be empty. Only Bays 1 and 2 held the sleeping passengers. Bay 4 was for emergency use only. "Show me the feed," Eric ordered. A screen opened in front of him. The cryo bay appeared dark, cold, and silent. Frozen mist floated near the ceiling. Then, movement. A shadow passed between two cryo tanks. Eric leaned forward. "Zoom in." The camera zoomed, but the shadow disappeared. Static cut across the screen. "Nova," Eric said, "why is the feed unstable?" Nova answered, but her voice sounded weaker. "Unknown interference. Something is blocking the signal." Eric's heartbeat kicked harder. Something was wrong. Very wrong. He grabbed his communicator. "Security team, report to Cryo Bay 4. Full gear." No hesitation. As he moved toward the bay himself, the ship suddenly shook just a little. Barely noticeable, but enough to make the lights flicker once more. Then the speakers crackled. Nova spoke again. "Commander, the ship's internal sensors are detecting a life form." Eric froze mid-step. "A life form?" he asked. "A passenger woke up early?" "No," Nova said. "This life form is not registered. Not human. And it is moving." Eric's eyes widened. Moving? Inside the ship that was supposed to be empty? He walked faster, almost running now. How did it get inside Eternal Dawn? There was another pause, longer, colder. Nova finally replied. Commander, the life form is coming from Sector 7. From the same energy source we detected earlier. Eric felt the truth hit him like a punch. The ship wasn't reacting. The ship wasn't pulsing. The ship wasn't waking up. Something inside the ship was awakening. Something that was not human. And it was now walking freely inside Eternal Dawn. Eric clenched his jaw. Humanity built this ship to survive. But he was starting to fear something else might survive with them. The alarms did not ring, but inside Eternal Dawn, a silent fear began to spread. The lights on the walls dimmed as Commander Eric Hale ran down the corridor toward Cryo Bay 4. Every step echoed loudly as if the ship itself was warning him. He pressed his hand on the scanner. The metal doors opened with a cold hiss. The cryo bay was dark, colder than it should be. Frost covered the glass windows of the empty cryopods. Mist floated on the floor, curling around his boots like tiny ghosts. Security team report, Eric said. 3 guards entered behind him, Aaron, Silva, and Cade. Their suits were heavy, their helmets glowing with scanning lights. There's no visible movement, Silva whispered, turning her head slowly. Eric raised his weapon. Spread out. Check every row. The guards moved between the tall cryopods. The silence in the room felt wrong, almost heavy. It pressed on their chests, making them breathe slowly and carefully. Suddenly, snap. A faint sound came from the far corner of the bay. Aaron lifted his rifle. Sir. Something is there. Eric walked forward carefully. The mist parted around him as he stepped deeper into the dark corner. His light beam shook slightly on the wall until it stopped on something lying on the floor. A footprint. But not a human one. The shape was longer, thinner, almost like a 3-fingered hand pressed into the frost. Silva swallowed. Sir, what kind of footprint is that? Eric didn't answer. He crouched down and touched the print. It was warm. The creature had passed through only moments ago. Then Nova's voice suddenly echoed through the speakers, shaky, distorted. Commander, the life form has moved again. It is exiting Cryo Bay 4. Eric stood quickly. Exiting? Where? Nova paused, her voice flickering like a damaged signal. It is moving toward the central reactor. The blood in Eric's body felt cold. The reactor was the heart of Eternal Dawn. If something happened there, the entire ship could die, and along with it, every human still in cryo-sleep. Eric pressed his calm. Team move. We're going to the central deck. As they ran out of the bay, the ship trembled again. Only this time the lights flickered harder. Power lines hummed, and shadows on the walls moved unnaturally, as if something large had passed behind them. Cade whispered, Sir, are we sure this is just one creature? Eric didn't slow down. We act like there's one until we know more. Keep eyes open. Nova's voice came again, weaker now. Commander, I am losing control over some systems. Something is blocking my access. Which systems? Eric demanded. There was a crackle of static. Doors, cameras, life support in some sections. Damn it, Eric said. It's inside the ship's network. But how? Silva asked. It just woke up. It shouldn't even understand our systems. Eric didn't answer. But he had a theory. The strange crystal inside the ship's core, the one humans never fully understood. What if it wasn't just a power source? What if it was something more? What if the creature and the crystal were connected? As the team reached the central deck, they saw something that made them freeze. A long, thin scratch ran down the wall, deep, smooth and glowing faintly. The metal around it was melted as if touched by something extremely hot. Aaron stepped closer. Sir, this wasn't made by any tool we know. Eric nodded slowly. It's intelligent. It knows where it's going. Nova's voice whispered again, almost fading. Commander, I am detecting another energy surge, coming from inside the reactor chamber. The team looked at each other. Silva whispered, Sir, do you think the creature is trying to reach the core? Eric took a deep breath. If it merges with the crystal, we don't know what it will become. Suddenly, boom. A small explosion shook the floor beneath them. Red emergency lights flashed along the ceiling. Nova spoke again, panicked and glitching. Commander, reactor chamber breach detected. Something is entering the inner system. Eric's eyes widened in shock. Entering the reactor? No creature should survive that heat, he whispered. Then a deep, strange sound echoed from the end of the corridor. A humming sound, but not mechanical. It sounded alive. It vibrated through the walls, through the lights, even through their chests. Aaron stepped back. Sir. Something is coming. The humming grew louder. The corridor lights flickered in a pattern, almost like a heartbeat. Then they went completely dark. Silence. Total darkness. And then, a pair of glowing eyes appeared in the black. Not human. Not friendly. And too close. Eric raised his weapon, but his hand shook. The creature stepped forward, its shape still hidden by the shadows. Only one thing was clear. The Eternal Dawn was no longer just humanity's last spaceship. It was becoming something else. Something alive. Something watching them. The glowing eyes did not move. They simply stared at Commander Eric and his team, shining through the darkness like two small pieces of burning ice. The room felt colder, the silence heavier, as if the spaceship itself was holding its breath. Eric didn't blink. Hold your fire, he whispered. His weapon was shaking slightly, not because he feared death but because he feared the unknown, something he could not understand and could not predict. Behind him, Silva's voice trembled softly. Sir, it's just standing there. No one dared step forward. No one dared breathe too loudly. Then slowly the eyes blinked, and the creature stepped into the thin line of emergency light. A tall, unfinished shape appeared, dark, metallic, almost like a shadow given life. Its body was slim but strong, with long arms that ended in sharp, claw-like fingers. Its skin wasn't skin at all. It looked like liquid metal, shifting and rippling with every tiny movement, as if it borrowed its form from the ship itself. Aaron whispered, almost too quietly to hear. That's not a creature, that's technology. Eric's heart struck harder. Or something that controls technology. The creature tilted its head, studying them with cold curiosity. Not angry. Not scared. Just observing. As if they were the intruders. Suddenly, Nova's weak voice whispered through the darkness. Commander, the life form is linked to the reactor crystal. I am detecting a connection, growing stronger. The creature's head turned toward the nearest wall. Metal rippled and opened for it like soft clay. It could control the ship. Eric raised his weapon higher. We can't let it reach the reactor. Follow it. Before they could move, the creature disappeared into the wall, melting through it like smoke. The wall closed behind it. Kate cursed loudly. Sir, what do we do? We can't walk through metal. Eric stepped forward, placing his palm against the warm metal wall. It didn't melt the ship. The ship opened for it. Silva swallowed. Why would the ship obey it? Eric looked around the corridor, at the flickering lights, at the trembling walls, at the heartbeat-like pulses that came from the core. Because, Eric said slowly, Eternal Dawn may not be human technology anymore. Nova's voice flickered again. Commander, I am losing access to the reactor. Something is rewriting my protocols. Eric clenched his jaw. Nova, stay with me. What do you see? Shapes, codes, commands not in human language. Aaron stepped closer to Eric. Sir, if the creature takes full control of Nova, it will control the entire ship. And all the sleeping passengers, Silva added. That thought hit Eric harder than anything else. Thousands of humans slept in cryopods, unaware. Helpless. We're not letting that happen, Eric said firmly. We moved to the reactor. Now. They ran through the corridor, boots slamming the metal floor. Red lights flashed over their heads. The deeper they went, the more the ship changed. Walls trembled. Lights flickered in strange patterns. The air felt thicker, heavier. As if Eternal Dawn was breathing. They reached the reactor chamber doors, but froze. The doors were already open. And inside the chamber, the impossible was happening. The crystal, the mysterious ancient energy source at the heart of Eternal Dawn, was glowing brighter than ever before. It floated slightly above its containment ring, surrounded by swirling metallic strands that weren't part of the ship. The creature stood in front of it. But now, it wasn't alone. Tiny shapes, small metallic insects, crawled out from the cracks of the floor, the walls, even the ceiling. Their eyes glowed the same cold blue. The team stepped back in disbelief. Those weren't here before, Silva whispered. Eric's voice was low. No, they were sleeping. Just like the big one. The creature turned its head slowly toward them. The reactor chamber dimmed, then brightened. The crystal pulsed like a heart. It spoke. Not in words, but in a sound like metal scraping against metal, like a signal breaking through static. The sound vibrated inside their bones. Nova's voice suddenly came alive through the speakers, terrified, distorted. Commander, I can translate some of its signal. Eric didn't look away from the creature. Translate. Nova hesitated. Then she spoke the translation. We awakened because you awakened us. The ship is ours. And now, so are you. Silva stepped back, fear spreading across her face. Sir, we need to leave. Now. But Eric's eyes stayed locked on the creature. Because at that moment he realized something terrifying. The crystal wasn't just a power source. It was a seed. And the creature wasn't invading the ship. It was born from it. The eternal dawn wasn't humanity's salvation. It was the birthplace of something new. Something that now looked at Eric. And decided he was no longer in command. The creature's glowing eyes stayed locked on Commander Eric. The crystal behind it pulsed like a giant heart, sending bright waves of energy across the room. Each pulse made the small metallic creatures on the floor twitch and move faster, like they were waking up more and more. Silva whispered, Sir, they're multiplying. Eric took a slow step forward. No one fire unless I say. The metallic insects clicked their thin legs on the metal floor. They were small, yes, but their numbers were growing with every passing second. Hundreds. Maybe soon thousands. Cade swallowed hard. Sir, if they all attack we won't stand a chance. Eric knew he was right. But running away wouldn't save the ship either. Nova's weak voice echoed through the chamber. Commander, the creature's signal is spreading into the ship's systems. It is rewriting control pathways, faster than I can stop it. Eric clenched his fists. We need to break that connection. His eyes turned to the glowing crystal, the center of all of this. If they stopped the crystal, maybe they could stop the creatures. But as if reading his thoughts, the main creature stepped closer to the crystal. Its liquid metal body expanded slightly, its arms stretching like sharp shadows. Then it placed its hand directly on the crystal. The entire ship shook. The lights in the reactor chamber exploded in a burst of sparks. The walls vibrated like something huge was moving deep inside them. Silva shouted, Sir, it's merging with the crystal. Nova's voice flickered. Commander, the ship is losing power. I cannot hold. Her voice cut off, replaced by a low humming signal that felt wrong, like the creature was speaking through the ship itself. Eric shouted over the sound. Fall back. Move. The team stepped out of the reactor room just as a violent wave of energy burst outward. It hit the walls, the floor, and the ceiling. It even threw Cade off his feet. Eric grabbed Cade's arm and pulled him back up. You all right? Cade nodded, breathless. Barely. Behind them, the reactor doors slowly closed on their own, sealing the chamber. Locked. Eric tried the control panel. Dead. Silva stared at the glowing door in fear. Sir, we're locked out. The creature has full control. Eric felt a deep tension in his chest. Eternal Dawn, humanity's last ship, was no longer listening to humans. Nova returned, her voice trembling. Commander, the ship's navigation is changing. We are no longer on course to the Haven system. Eric spun around. Where is the ship going? Nova hesitated. Then she answered with a voice full of dread. Into uncharted space. A location not in our star maps. The team exchanged shocked looks. Aaron whispered, Why? Why would it change direction? Eric's jaw tightened. Because it has a destination. Silva stepped forward. Sir, are we sure it's not trying to kill us? Eric shook his head slowly. No. Killing us would be simple. It could depressurize the ship or shut life support. It hasn't done that. Then what does it want? Aaron asked. Eric looked toward the sealed reactor chamber. It wants control. And maybe, it wants to grow. Suddenly, the hallway lights flickered again, this time in a clear pattern. One flash. Two flashes. Pause. One flash. Three flashes. Then the same pattern repeated. Sir, Silva whispered, that looks like some kind of signal. Nova's voice returned, strained. Commander, the ship is trying to communicate with you. Eric frowned. Communicate? With me? Yes, it is sending a path. It wants you to follow. Aaron stepped back immediately. No, sir. That's a trap. It's guiding us straight into danger. Eric felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. It was likely a trap. But refusing to go, refusing to understand this new intelligence, might be even more dangerous. What if, Eric said quietly, it doesn't want to destroy humans, but wants to show us something? Cade scoffed. Sir, nothing about those creatures looks friendly. But Eric's eyes hardened with determination. This is humanity's last ship. We cannot run. We cannot hide. The ship is changing. I need to know how. The lights flickered again, repeating the same pattern. This time, the floor lights activated, forming a glowing trail down the corridor. Silva whispered, Sir. It's leading us deeper into the ship. Eric took a steady breath. Stay close. Weapons up. We follow the path. As they walked, the ship grew darker, warmer, and strangely alive. The walls pulsed softly like veins carrying energy. Shadows shifted even when no one moved. The glowing path guided them into a wide, circular chamber they had never seen before, an area not shown on any blueprint. In the center of the room was a large cocoon-like structure made of the same metallic substance as the creatures. It pulsed with blue light, almost like something inside it was breathing. Aaron whispered, "Is that another creature?" "No," Eric said slowly, stepping closer. "It's something bigger." Before he could take another step, Nova's voice returned, this time terrified. "Commander, I am detecting something else inside the cocoon." Eric's eyes narrowed. "What?" Nova hesitated. Then she spoke the words that froze every human in place. "A human heartbeat." The room fell silent. Eric stared at the glowing cocoon in shock. A human, inside that alien structure? What? Oh. And most importantly, oh. For a long moment, no one moved. No one breathed. No one believed what Nova had just said. A human heartbeat, inside that alien cocoon? Silva's voice trembled. "Sir, that can't be right. No human should be inside that thing." Nova replied, "I confirmed the reading twice. It is human. And the heartbeat is strong." Eric stepped closer to the glowing cocoon. His eyes narrowed, searching for any detail, any clue. The metallic surface was smooth and warm, pulsing like living skin. Strange symbols appeared and vanished on the surface like the cocoon was thinking, or protecting whatever was inside. Aaron whispered, "Sir, who could it be? No crew member is missing." Eric didn't answer. His mind raced. Before the ship launched, thousands of humans were loaded into cryosleep. But the list was clear. All accounted for. No one should have been moved or placed anywhere else. Unless... Cade suddenly spoke, fear rising in his voice. What if the creature put someone inside? What if it took a sleeping passenger? Eric shook his head. It didn't attack the cryo base. We checked. Silva stepped closer, her eyes wide. Then who put the human here? Nova's voice came again, softer than before. "Commander, I am detecting another signal inside the cocoon. Brain activity. Very active." Cade gasped. "They're awake." Eric's breath caught. A human, awake inside this alien structure? He placed his hand gently on the surface of the cocoon. It reacted immediately. The surface rippled under his touch. The light inside glowed brighter. The heartbeat quickened. Aaron lifted his weapon. "Sir, step back. It's responding to you." But Eric didn't move. He felt something else, something strange. A whisper. A thought. Not a voice, but a feeling inside his mind. A pull. Like the cocoon wanted him to understand something. Silva stepped closer, voice shaking. "Sir, what is it doing?" Eric removed his hand slowly. "It's communicating." Before anyone could react, the cocoon suddenly split open with a soft tearing sound. The glowing blue lines on its surface cracked apart like petals unfolding. Silva screamed. Cade stepped back. Aaron aimed his weapon. Eric raised his hand. "Hold your fire." The cocoon opened fully, releasing a wave of warm air. Mist poured out, rolling across the floor. Inside it lay a human. A young woman. Breathing. Alive. Her eyes were closed, her body floating slightly above the metallic surface as if held up by invisible threads of energy. Thin lines of blue light wrapped gently around her arms, chest, and forehead, like the cocoon was keeping her stable. Aaron whispered, "Sir, who is she?" Eric stepped closer, his voice quiet. "I've never seen her before." Nova suddenly spoke again. "Commander, I found a match in the database." Eric's heart pounded. "Who is she, Nova?" There was a long pause. Then Nova said the name. "Dr. Alara Wynn, lead scientist of the Crystal Research Team." Silva gasped. "She died. The lab collapsed during the attack on Earth. Everyone said she never made it out." Eric stared at the young woman inside the cocoon. If this was Dr. Alara Wynn, then everything humanity believed was wrong. Aaron lowered his weapon slowly. "Sir, what is she doing here? How did she survive?" Eric's voice grew heavier. "There's only one explanation." He looked around the chamber, at the walls that pulsed like veins, at the metal that moved like liquid, at the creatures born from the ship. Dr. Alara must have discovered the crystal's true nature before anyone else. Silva whispered, "You mean, she knew it was alive?" "She knew more than that," Eric said. She merged with it. Suddenly, Dr. Alara's eyes snapped open. Bright blue. Glowing. She gasped for air, her chest rising sharply as the energy threads released her body. She fell forward. Eric caught her before she hit the ground. Her hands were cold, almost icy, but her heartbeat was strong. She spoke with a weak, broken voice. Commander, you must listen. Eric nodded quickly. We're here. Tell us. Her eyes, glowing with the same color as the crystal, widened with urgency. You activated the ship too early. The crystal awakened ahead of time. The creatures. She coughed, struggling for breath. They're not enemies. They are guardians. Silva's eyes widened. Guardians? They attacked us. No, she whispered. They were trying to protect the ship. From something else. Eric tightened his grip on her. Protect it from what? Dr. Alara's voice grew softer. From fear, or exhaustion, or something worse. They weren't born to destroy humans. She looked directly into Eric's eyes. They were born to stop what is coming. Aaron stepped forward. What's coming? Her voice turned into a whisper, one that chilled every person in the room. Something followed us from Earth. She swallowed hard. And it's already inside the ship. The chamber fell silent. Eric froze. Another threat? Inside Eternal Dawn? Another life form? Another enemy? Before he could ask more, the lights flickered violently. The floor shook. Nova's voice screamed through the speakers. Commander. Unknown entity detected. Deck 14 is breached. Multiple life forms entering the ship. They are not from the crystal. Eric's heart stopped. Silva whispered what everyone feared. If these creatures aren't ours, then something else is invading the ship. The warning lights inside Eternal Dawn kept blinking like a heartbeat, slow, weak, and dying. Orion stood at the center of the bridge, watching the hologram of the unknown ship slowly grow larger. The ship had no windows, no engines visible, and no signal. It looked like a floating black monument in space, silent, but powerful. Every person on the bridge held their breath. Even the computers seemed to wait. Orion spoke, his voice steady but low. Everyone stay calm. No sudden moves. Lena whispered, Sir, it changed direction. It is matching our speed now. That was the first moment fear truly entered the room. If the ship was matching their speed, then it was not a random object. It was watching them. The small child who had asked the question earlier now clutched her mother's hand, whispering, Is it coming for us? Her mother had no answer. A deep humming sound passed through the hall, soft at first, then rising. People looked around, confused, terrified. Dr. Hale monitored the readings. This is not an attack. It is scanning us. Every deck. Every human. Every system. A cold chill ran through Orion. Something out there knew exactly what humanity's last ship was carrying. The hum stopped. Silence returned. But silence was worse. It felt like the entire universe was waiting for Eternal Dawn's next move. Do not respond, Orion ordered. No signals. No transmissions. Nothing. But then, the ship outside sent a signal first. A single tone. Oh, it. Almost like a heartbeat. People covered their ears, babies cried, lights flickered. And then from that single tone, a voice formed. Not human. Not machine. Something between. A voice that felt ancient. A voice that felt powerful. A voice that said only one sentence. You are not alone. The bridge froze. Dr. Hale's hands shook. Lena's eyes widened. Crew members looked at each other with fear they couldn't hide. Orion stood still, trying to understand. Humans had run from the dying Earth. They had built the last ship. They had crossed the darkness of space. But now something else had found them first. The voice came again, calmer, colder. We watched your world end. A painful silence followed. The words felt like knives. Orion forced his voice to stay steady. Identify yourself. The response came immediately. We are the ones who survived before you. This time the fear shifted. It was no longer fear of danger. It was fear of truth. Did this mean another civilization had faced the same fate as humans? Had they escaped their own dying world? Were they warning humanity, or hunting them? Orion's mind raced. Why are you here? He demanded. A long pause. Too long. Then. To see if you are worth saving. Lena gasped. People backed away from screens. Orion's jaw tightened. Eternal Dawn was humanity's final hope. But now it felt like a test. A test from someone far older, and far stronger. The lights dimmed again. Outside, the mysterious ship slowly rotated until one side pointed directly at eternal dawn, like an eye opening. A beam of soft white light extended from the ship, slowly reaching toward the hull of eternal dawn. Children screamed. Adults panicked. Soldiers rushed forward but stopped when Orion raised a hand. He stared at the growing beam. It was not an attack. It was not a weapon. It felt like an invitation. The voice returned, softer now. Send your leader. Lena looked at Orion with fear. Sir, they mean you. Dr. Hale stepped closer. Captain, this could be a trap. Orion nodded. I know. The crew stared at him, waiting, terrified, hopeful. Orion looked around the bridge, seeing the fear in every face. He felt the weight of the last humans on his shoulders. He took a deep breath. And then he stepped forward toward the light. Prepare an airlock, he said quietly. If this is what they want, I will face it. The beam outside brightened, glowing like the first morning sun of a world long gone. Orion walked toward the door. Every step echoed. Every step felt like destiny. Every step took him closer to something humanity had never seen before. A civilization that survived the darkness. A civilization that was now questioning whether humans deserved to survive too. Before stepping into the launch corridor, Orion looked back one last time. His voice was strong. Stay ready. Whatever happens, humanity does not kneel. The doors closed behind him. The light swallowed him. Eternal dawn watched. Humanity watched. And the universe stayed silent, waiting for the next move.